Good morning. This is TA for Traders on Tuesday the 14th of March. In this short video I'll be looking at the major currencies. On the euro against the US dollar I'm short term positive. Dollar against the yen, we expect it to move higher. Pound against dollar, we see base building, but it's going to be a long term process. Swissy, we see a rolling picture, and Aussie dollar against US dollar, we expect the range trading to continue. So on the euro against the US dollar, we can see that we had a good move at the end of last week, and it moved above the 50-day moving average. As I said last week, the 50-day moving average, which is blue line, what I'll actually do is I'll expand just the last 3 months so you can see it clearer. Okay, so the index has moved above the 50-day moving average last week and has now come back to the support of the 50-day. And below there, you can see that the 20-day, which is the yellow line, has now rolled into an upwards position. So this is short-term positive. We would hope that the 50-day moving average will hold. And then if it can maintain this level for hopefully a week, you would see the 20-day start to move up. And that could then give the trampoline effect that's needed to break this resistance just above the 108 level. On the RSI, you can see that it's back above 50. You can also see that it's now broken the downtrend that was in place through the start of the year and is starting to indicate positive momentum, as is the MACD, which the short term's just moved above the long term, so that's a positive sign as well. So just hopeful that this moving average will hold. Even if the 50-day doesn't hold, we've got the 20-day immediately below as well, which will again give support. So I'm pretty hopeful that this pattern that we've just started to see of higher lows will continue, and that we can push up shortly into this resistance at the 108 level. On the longer term picture, this is the weekly chart. You can see that the 20-week moving average here is causing some concern. Let's expand this as well. So you've got the 20-week where we're trading around. You can excuse me. You can see that this week we did edge above it, and then we've just come back down onto the 20-week. Expect the market to hopefully hold this level. If the daily does push forward towards the 108, which is the resistance here that we saw in February, that would then start to see the 20-day turn around somewhat. The RSI is very neutral on the weekly at 44.63 going sideways. MACD are okay. Looking at the support resistance levels, resistance at, as we said, just above the 108 at 108.291, and then we've got the downtrend in 50-day at 109.71, with the support at 106.309, 103.4.03. I haven't put the 20-day on there because, as you can see from the daily picture, that we are trading virtually the 50-day. We're on the 50-day. So let's move on to the yen. And here you can see that we've had a very good move. The downtrend that was in place has now been broken. We've broken above the 50-day moving average. It was good that the 20-day gave the support down here. 50-day offered no resistance even though it was down tracking. Just about to get the 20 across the 50, but that's a neutral formation. One's going down, one's going up. It looks like it's going to go higher. RSI is definitely showing positive momentum. Nice uptrend created there, and now at 60.22, and the MACD also in a positive formation, indicative of higher prices. On the weekly, you can see that we came back to the 20-week moving average, and that's giving the push up. You can see that the downtrend has been broken. Really, we would expect to move on this push up to towards the resistance in the 117, 118 level. On this chart, the 20-week would give immediate support at the 113.54 level. Looking at the key levels, we've got resistance at 115.51, 115.62, and then the support at that 20 tracking update 20 day at 113.76, and then at 111.69. On to the pound, and I mean, obviously we have had the Scottish announcement yesterday regarding the referendum, and today it looks like we are going to hit Article 50. Maybe not until the end of the month though, but that's only a couple of weeks away. So sterling's been quite volatile the last couple of days, and it is down today. To me, it's the longer term picture we should look at. If you look at this long term picture, it's perhaps a base building area, and you can see, I mean, the basin, you can draw a long term basin through the RSI, and likewise the MACD seems to be rolling. So I'm hopeful that these supports at the 119.77 level will hold, and that this will prove to be base building. On the daily, I mean, these support levels that we're seeing back in January are key supports. There'll be a lot of people shouting if they don't hold and wanting to push this market lower, but I mean, the RSI is down at 34.62. Yes, it's showing negative momentum, but it wouldn't take much for the market to bounce up towards the 20-day. That RSI would switch, and the MACD would switch. Would switch very quickly. So I just think that we may be in a base building phase, and that we may unexpectedly see a spike higher, which would lead to some short-term shorts being squeezed, and you would see a move up to that 20-day, but that is very key on the support levels holding. On the support resistance, the resistance on the upside at 108.82.91 and 109.71, which is the 50-day, and the supports, the key supports are 1.06309 and 03403. On the Swissy, I see this as a rolling picture. You can see that, let me expand. You can see on the 50-day moving average is tracking down and has rolled over now, and the Swissy's come back to test the support of the uptrending 20-day moving average, but it's only going to be a few days, and that's going to be rolling over as well. The RSI, which had been in a narrow uptrend from the lows of at the end of January, is now also broken that trend and is tracking down. Still marginally above 50, so still positive, but tracking down in a downtrend, starting to indicate negative momentum. MACD are rolling over, so I just see this as a rolling picture, and that I think we will come back below the 50-day moving average, and then test the next supports at the 0.997 level. On the weekly chart, you can see that we're holding on to this 20-week moving average, and it's broke up through the 50-day. I mean, found the 50-day there, which was positive. So you can see some positive elements here. But from the daily, if we do get a roll, we're going to move back below this 20-day, and then we will probably come back and test the 50-day again. Again, on the RSI, we've seen it's this short-term uptrend that it's been in, that we talked about, has been broken. You can see that coming down. Yes, it's above 50. MACD are negative though, still tracking down. So expect a rolling picture on the Swissy. On the support resistance levels, there is resistance at 101.70 and 102.48, and then the supports at 100.51 and 100.96. Finally, the Aussie dollar, and let's look at the weekly to start. Actually, I mean, here you can actually see the range trade, the range quite easily, stretching up to 0.786 and then down to 0.68. And it was tracking towards the upper boundary of this range and then dipped down. It's moved back up, but it's losing its momentum. Really, you would expect it now to move down to the lower area to test this support at 0.72. MACD are neutral, 51.77. Some positive coming through from the MACD, but they're rolling down. If the 50-week, let me expand. If the 50-week fails to hold, which is at 0.7512, you can see it already. It is rolling downwards now. So even though it will give support, and you've got the 20-week there as well at 0.7494, they're giving support. But if they fail, they'll both start tracking down very quickly and could give the momentum to come down and test this support at the 0.72 level. Looking back at the daily, and you can see that we've come back down to the 200-day moving average. The 20-day offered a bit of support a couple of weeks ago, and then it collapsed. Now we're at the 200-day. If that fails, you won't move a long way below there, but that's the 72. That's the bottom of the trend. You can see that the supports here around the 73.36 level. You'd expect those to hold initially. 20 days giving a lot of downside pressure to this market now. The RSI is indicative of negative momentum, as is the MACD. So just expect supports to be tested. It's still range bound, but we are expecting it to move to the lower boundary of that trend channel. On the support resistances, there's a resistance at the 20-day, as we saw, was tracking down 76.28. And then resistance at 77.41. Support, as we said, at the 200-day, 75.37, and then support below there at 74.912. So this has been TA for Traders. I'm Nigel Croft, and it's Tuesday the 14th of March. Thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with another video in about half an hour, and I'll be looking at the Asian equity indices. Thanks for watching.